Okay guys, here I am. I got it set up right now, so had a little bit of freezing on the camera. Only something with the live streams. So let me just load up on the laptop here, the stream, so I could see all the chats and everything. There's somebody pulling their boat out there. They're putting their boat in actually. It's a busier day today. It wasn't so busy yesterday when I got here, but that was in the evening anyway. Okay, let's see. A couple people were signed in when I first tried to open this up before it messed up, and I got to sign in here now. Great. Okay, let's see. It doesn't recognize me up here even though I've been here before. Whoops. How's everybody doing anyway? Yeah, I got here last night about just after 8 o'clock. I came in, there was a power line down and the road was blocked off. I actually had to go around the other way to the other end of the road coming into the lake, and I had to come in that way. So that got me here just after 8. And I was going to put the boat in the water, but they were scheduled for some more rain, so I put the cover on and I just parked it for the night. And I got up this morning, there was no power again. So there was power last night when I was in here. Let me see. I might have to use my phone, and that might kill this stream again, guys. Forgot about just signing in here, man. This laptop's not working properly, too. Okay, should be back now. Signing in under Ontario Firewood Resource. Let's go here. I gotta get a beer out in a second. Maybe a gin and tonic.
Has helped over 45,000 people with toenail
Let's mute this.
And it can help.
Anybody in the chat yet? How many viewers I got in here? The small woodlot, how you doing? Nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a long time, man. So I got up here and yeah, just packed it in for the night. Got up this morning. The power was out for about 10 minutes after I noticed the power was out. I couldn't charge my phone. But everything's good with that. And there was another couple storms that rolled through. And yeah, lots of rain, man. Even when I was coming up here, the roads were all like washed out, and there was a bunch of like that gray colored water, like that clay colored water that I drove through, and it splashed up because I hit like a pothole. I didn't see that, or there's a dip in the road, right? So yeah, I didn't see that, and then this just water splashed up. So I was looking to see if it was in the boat like that, like with all the dirt and stuff, and all over the trailer it's all splashed up, and there's this like gray stuff like all over it, and then the back of the truck too. So yeah, it was messy coming in here, and lots of rain coming down, and apparently there was a tornado that almost touched down just southeast of here. So yeah, the weather's good now. It's good for tomorrow and Sunday, and then Monday it's gonna rain. So instead of staying here the holiday, I'm gonna go home. So it's a civic holiday here, so some things are closed down, like government and whatnot, but the businesses aren't closed down. So I'm gonna head back and just do what I can at home, and just stay indoors, you know. But I'd like to be up here for, that would be day number 4 basically, and well, day number 5 technically. And I like to stay, but not with the rain, you know. My sole purpose here is just to fish, right? So I was hoping for a nice 5 days here, and I'll tell you something else that I was ready to do here Easton Maid is not far from here. Easton Maid's like an hour away. It's an hour east of here. So I just have to drop down the highway a little bit, like 10 minutes, and then I get onto Highway 7 and I just shoot across and I get to the Easton Maid plant. But I wanted to do a tour, and I looked at one of their videos the other day, and he says he has an announcement. He said that he's having vacation, right? And I know he shuts down and everybody goes on vacation. So it's too bad that the timing wasn't good enough that I could go to Easton Maid, but I will go around Labor Day weekend. Hopefully I can do another 5 days, and then I'll take off a half a day and I'll go over to Easton Maid. Okay, let's see. You're good. You've been busy. Nice. Yeah, I've been busy too, man. Doing so much stuff. Not in the wood yard really. Haven't been splitting much wood, but oh, the phone's going off. I should put it on do not disturb, but it's okay. Hopefully nobody calls on the phone. It's not a problem. How is the Canadian fog doing, or have they been extinguished? Yeah, I don't know what's the story with the fires. I know there's some fires left over that are still going and whatnot, but it's just been so rainy that, yeah, it hasn't been a problem here. The fire ban they released, what was it, a couple weeks ago or so, something like that. So you can have a fire now. And I actually brought some firewood with me to burn, so I might have a fire tonight. I'm not sure. And I have some silver maple rounds so that I can do a Swedish candle. So I have 3 rounds that are about this diameter, and I'm going to stack them on top of each other, and they're hollowed out in the center. They rotted out in the center, so I'm just going to light it from the center and get it to shoot up a nice candle-like looking kind of fire tonight, you know. And also I have some cherry and birch, and I might make a Jenga tower fire tomorrow night. And then I also brought some sugar maple just in case I cook the burgers on the fire. So one of those logs I'll just soak in the water for a bit before I do it. And then I have my big camping grill. Let me show you my camping grill. So this is about, I don't know if that's 1/4 inch or 3/8. Or not, no, it's not 1/4 inch. It's about 5/16 solid steel tube. This is all stainless steel. You can see there's no rust on it. And this thing weighs about 30 pounds. Like, this thing's heavy. And I used it once, but the thing is with this fire pit, what's happened is people have been burning a bunch of stuff on it. And, you know, they'll burn beer cans and everything, and leftover garbage. And the last time I cooked there, which was, I haven't done that in years, yeah, the burgers didn't taste so nice because of the stuff that's in there, right? So what I wanted to do is bring a shovel with me and then dig out the fire pit a little bit and put some fresh dirt in it, and then that would change it up, you know. So much for that. I'll see if I can get a neighbor off shovel off of not the neighbor, the guy who owns this cabin. So he's next door. His cottage is next door, and he owns this cabin. There's one just up on the hill beside it, and there used to be 6 on the, or sorry, another 4 on the top of the hill. So there's 6 altogether, right? So I started coming here in '98, and we were camping out on the tiny island, which is on the back side of the lake. And then we found out about the cabins here, and we'd actually rent the boat from this cottage here. It used to be a marina, a restaurant, a bar, and what else? And like a convenience store all in one. And it was a gas station too. You could get gas for your boat right on the water, right? So it was nice to have that little bit of convenience, because you could get everything you needed right there, all the small stuff, all the basics, right? Even sometimes we'd leave here and we go get food at the restaurant upstairs, and you could sit on the deck on the 2nd floor overlooking the lake. So it was really nice, you know. But yeah, so I've been renting these cabins since about probably, I don't know, 2002. No, even before that. I think 2000, because I wasn't driving at the time when I first started renting this place. Because I remember coming up here with a friend, or I didn't have my own vehicle. I had my license, but I didn't have my own vehicle, right? So, but the first time I rented it, we just rented it for a night, and then we're meeting a group, and they were coming up here to camp, so we all met them to go over to the island. And then basically from that point on, in about 2000, I started renting the place. And there was a couple different owners throughout the history, and a lot different here now, you know. Seeing the people come and go and everything, right? But it's a funny thing, when I was going out today, I recognized one of the trucks who was coming in to put his boat in, and we were talking this morning, and he says, or I was telling him about my boat problems, and he says, "Where'd you get it fixed?" And I said I got it fixed around here, and at line 6, which is about 20 minutes north of here. He says, "Oh yeah, I work there. I'm a boat mechanic." He says, "I recognize your boat, right?" So I brought the boat up here back then because I was having problems with the whole lockdowns and everything, trying to get the boat fixed. And it turned out to be the I can't even remember what it was, because after that, the year after, the CDI, the whole like control pack for all the wiring and stuff like that, that fried too. And I had gotten a stator at the time, the year before that. So I was having all these problems and I couldn't get it running. I took it to 4 different mechanics, and the guy who was up here, that's the guy who was able to fix the boat, right? Apparently he's the boat whisperer. So what I did was, I was gonna pay somebody to bring the boat up here. They're actually passing by the place on the way to somewhere else, but it never ended up working out. So I came up here myself and I dropped it off. And then when I came to pick it up, okay, well, I was all gung ho and let's get it on in the water. So I went to the lake that's across the highway, and it's called Massinaw Lake, and it's it's a sizable lake. It's not a huge lake. It's not a small lake, but it has a depth of 580 feet. And in comparison, Lake Ontario is, you know, 1,000 times bigger than this lake or more. And this lake is, you know, what, about 3/4 the same depth, right? So it's pretty deep. But what's cool is there's one a rock wall, and it's, say, in this perspective, how you're looking at me, say the rock wall is over that way, right? So the sun now would be hitting on that rock, and the rock is 280 feet high. So it's this basically like kind of flat rock face that drops right into the water, and they have native paintings of people and animals all along the wall that have been there for, you know, who knows how long, right? But it's pretty cool. So I dropped the boat in there and picked up my buddy Stan the Bass Man, who lives down the road here, and we went into the lake and we just went and cruised around and checked it out. So that was pretty interesting, man. You know, I've been coming up for years and I've never actually been on that lake, right? But there's so many lakes around here, it's ridiculous. And that's basically how Ontario is. There's 250,000 lakes, rivers, and streams. And we've got a ton of cottage country that's basically um, from, so Toronto, it's kind of like south central Ontario, and everything north of Toronto and everything east, all that whole quadrant is basically all lakes. And then even when you go up around the Great Lakes over into Manitoba, right? Then it's just lakes throughout there. Manitoba doesn't have as much water. Saskatchewan has less water, right? But yeah, there's just so many lakes here, and there's a lot of the cottage country here within the first, say, few hours or 4 hours drive from Toronto. There's quite a lot there, and then it's more remote once you pass like the 4 hour mark, right? I guess even if you go north past the 2.5, 3 hours, then it's kind of more remote, you know. But it's just beautiful all around here, and all these lakes, they're very rocky and everything. Most of them, it's like shield rock, and there's a lot of quartz and a lot of granite and stuff. And the area that's close to Toronto, that's just northeast of Toronto, that's called Peterborough, or the Kawartha Lakes, and that's a whole canal system that has a bunch of shallow lakes. So it's not very appealing to me because I like this kind of setting, you know, rocks and hills and, you know, all these forests and everywhere. But in the Kawartha Lakes, it's a lot of shallow lakes, and it's a lot of flat land, and, you know, people, they have like a big lawn full of grass in front of their property, you know, instead of a bunch of trees and everything. And it's highly populated. But this lake here, I won't name it because, you know, it's, the fishing is good here, right? But basically this lake is how deep is this lake? This lake's about 90 feet deep, and I like this kind of lake where it has some depth to it, and it has lots of rocks and stuff in both above and under the water, and that's what helps the bass population. You know, there's some weeds in here too, but it's not a weedy lake. You have certain shallow areas where there's weeds, but then, you know, you get outside of that bay or whatever, and it's just all rocks and it just drops off, right? And there's one area where I fish where it's like a boulder field, and then right beside it is like a clay patch. and that's where I was fishing last. And I didn't catch anything there except one small fish. But I guess because it's evening now, if you go back there in the evening, it's a lot better in that spot, right? And I don't want to go out for the evening bite because the mosquitoes start coming out. It's really bad. Say if I was out on the water now, I'd stay out for like maybe another hour and a half, and then I'd come in. That's it, right? Let's see the chats here. Robert Blacksmith is in the house. How you doing, man? Last time you went fishing in Ontario for bass was 45 years ago. When was that, man? Or sorry, where was that? I'm curious. Every time somebody says there's a cottage or whatever, I say, or I ask them where it is. You know, some of the items that I sell over at work, um, they say that they need them for the cottage. So I ask them where is it. You know, I'm just curious as to where they're going and what they're doing. It's funny when you end up knowing some people who they know and stuff like that, right? Or you know the things that's in their area, or if you've been there, right? But there's so many destinations, you never know, right? Actually, I was talking to somebody on Facebook, and they said that they were actually at these cabins back in May, and they said it's buggy here, and yeah, it gets pretty buggy, man. It's not fun here, guys. At just at dusk, which is when they usually come out anyway, but dusk to like just after dusk, it's no good, man. And they love me, they love my blood, so yeah, I'm not down for them, man. Not at all. If there's three guys in the boat, the mosquitoes are all going after me. Who's all in here? It says, oh, Heidi's in here. How you doing, Heidi? Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping in. I haven't stopped by your channel in a while. I've been super busy, not doing much firewood and not doing much firewood videos. So I've just been trying to enjoy the boat and get out there because of the summer. You know what I mean? This is the time when I want to be up in this environment. This is my element. This is where I want to be. You know, when I go out on Lake Ontario, I don't settle for boating out on there. You can do it. It's fun. It's nice to say you can go downtown and go through the harbor and everything. Go right in front of the city skyline, right? And then you can go over to Center Island, which is, you know, it's a lot like nature there too. You can go to places inside Center Island or Toronto Islands, basically, which is in front of downtown, and you can go in the back there, and you'll see patches where it's all forest. You wouldn't believe that you're in front of a major city. You know, it's like a wildlife reserve kind of in the back there, right? And then they have an amusement park there and stuff, and they have some good pike fishing. But I'll just boat around there just to go around there for fun. And I just put out a video the other day of me getting stopped by the cops in the boat. So check that out if you want to. And like I said, that's Toronto Islands. And we get some nice footage of the city skyline driving right in front of all the office buildings and the condos and everything. It's mostly condos in Toronto. There's not much office towers as there used to be. I mean, well, it's the same amount. You know, maybe one pops up here or there, but it's all condos down here, right? That's all the new buildings, and we have some of the biggest construction projects going on, like in the world. So yeah, I know you guys hear about Dubai and stuff, right? But Toronto is like crazy. I don't know how to compare Dubai to here, but the construction, the construction here compared to there is like, it's either close or more. I don't know, but it's a lot, man. Let's see. Yeah, hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, guys. Um, yeah, so next week I have some family coming in from Vancouver, and it's my cousin, and she's bringing her kids, and daddy's staying home because he's got to work, but they're coming down. So I think we're gonna go to Niagara Falls next weekend, and they're from Vancouver, BC. They're in the south. I don't know exactly where she lives, but basically the family home growing up was in Richmond, and that's close to Surrey, and Surrey is close to the border of Washington State. So not too far from you, Heidi, maybe a couple hours away. They're going to come down again. I'm going to take them out to see what's going on in Ontario. I think it's time to get a drink going on. What do you think, guys? Gin and tonic time or what, man? This is actually coffee, and I make coffee and then I put it on ice so that it gets cold, because it's actually hot right now. I'm only cooling down now, but I was like sweating when I started the stream, and I usually don't have much time to do stuff. So if I go to make coffee and sit down with the coffee and drink it, it's too time consuming. So when I make coffee in the morning, I just put some in a bottle and put it in the cooler for the evening so that I don't have to go and brew a new batch of coffee. I got less than 6 hours sleep last night, and I was hoping to get more, but I was hanging out with Stan the Bass Man. And then, like I said, I got up, and then there was that power outage. And so the fishing today, I got a bunch of fish. They're all basically the same size. They're all like, probably just under half a pound. Um, because the cold front came in, like you could see it's warm and everything. It's calm. It's still sunny and everything, but the wind has changed to the east. I'm not sure which direction, but I think I saw west in the forecast. And when the wind changes to the east, that's when the fish bite the least, right? So, yeah, unfortunately, that might have shut down the fishing. And another sign that I could tell hands on is that when I go to my spots, and if you keep catching small fish, then that's when you know that the big fish are gone, right? So either you have, like, because I go for smallmouth bass, so if the smallmouth bass are not there, then what will happen is the pike and the largemouth come in, or all the small fish, right? So there's a bunch of smallmouth and a bunch of rock bass. Okay, so let me go get my gin and tonics. I'll be right back in about 30 seconds. Get some drinks going on here. Enjoy the view. Okay, I'm back. Any new joiners? Come on in for the party, you guys. I think I lost a couple viewers because I had to restart the stream here. Always problems with YouTube, but I think today maybe the problem was in YouTube. I think it was just a bit of lag. You're supposed to do this the right way. You're supposed to put the ice first, right? So I didn't have any ice cubes. I didn't make any. I got to make some for tomorrow night. And the water, I don't know if it's because of the that had anything to do with the power outage, but the water, it takes some time. You got to run the water when you come up here, right? Because it's just been sitting for a while, so it comes up like kind of milky, I don't use that water for the ice. This is just bottled water ice, right? Let me get my cooler, put this stuff back in. But yeah, so I had to make this ice last night, and what I do for my ice for the weekend, I don't buy bags. The bags are too expensive, and I just make my own ice. So I get those like steel bread trays, and I actually want to find stainless steel, because the regular bread trays, they're steel and they just rust, right? So it causes some discoloration with the cooler. I try to keep my cooler clean, but my work cooler is actually kind of stained because of that stuff, right? So I just, in the summer, I always walk around with the cooler, or drive around with the cooler in the truck, and a couple ice blocks, and I put like half a dozen waters in there, and keep myself hydrated during the day. But on the worst days when it's really hot, you got to watch out, because you got to get your salt too, right? It's nice to drink water, but you're losing salt too, so you got to replenish your salt. The lime will go for compost. So salut, cheers, up at the lake, holiday weekend, Canada, Ontario, good times. Small woodlot, you hit 300 subscribers today. Nice, man. I haven't gotten many subscribers. I think it was April 22nd where I got to 3,000 subs, and I only have 142 subs since. So I think because they don't like when you talk the politics, right? I think I got shadow banned, but also in the winter, I had mediocre content. I wasn't really doing anything special. I wasn't really using the homemade log splitter much. And I was having a problem with lighting going into the winter. Plus my videos were behind, right? So eventually it got to where it's like, it's nice and warm outside and you're seeing me edit or publish videos that have like snow in it and everything, like snowstorm and the woods covered in snow. So I got kind of set back. I did lose some subs and whatnot, right? But yeah, this channel, it takes a lot out of me. I've been putting a lot into it, and I've taken some time away from it, but work's gotten busy, so um, yeah, I haven't been putting much time in it, and I've been trying to put my time in the best places, because this is fun. I like to do it. I like the viewership and everything, but it's not something that I can prioritize as much as I want to. You know what I mean? Um, let's see, Ralph Kanegi. How you doing, Ralph? Nice to see you here, man. Who else am I looking out for? I'm looking out for William Klein because he wants to see when I'm up here doing this thing. And it's too bad I can't message anybody. And Heidi, you're at 400 subs almost. Nice. Yeah, I got a lot of stories coming out of books, and I'd like to capture those whole series and stuff. You know what I mean? I like listening to those things, right? What you put out, I like that content. Because it's like nostalgic. So yeah, hopefully I can get some time to sit down and check out your videos again. This is mine. How you doing, Roy? You spent many years at Delawana Inn. Where's Delawana Inn? Oh, Georgian Bay. Okay. Yeah, I want to go up there, man. That's a crazy area, guys. It's Georgian Bay. So Georgian Bay, if you don't know, is part of Lake Huron, and the whole shoreline. It's a massive shoreline that goes for miles and miles and miles, but it's tons of rock islands, just everywhere. Small, large, you name it, and the whole coast is just littered with them. And the crazy thing about them is it's all this smooth rock that it's like instead of you just have these craggy rocks sticking out of the water and stuff like that. Like that's how here is, right? I don't know if you could see, maybe you could see the island over there. Can you guys see the island in the back? Yeah, you can just see it between the big tree and the small tree. There's an island there, right? But you can't really tell how the rocks are because there's actually like growth on top of the island, but it's not that jagged rock like that. It's like it's all smoothed over from the glacier, and it has like this nice like gray like clay color, right? And it's just these islands everywhere. And some people, they have cottages and they have like 3 or 4 islands right in their section or right on their property, and then they might have a bridge to the other island, and they might have like a little bunkie on one of the islands and stuff. It's really cool, man. Very interesting up there. I know somebody who was taking a plane up to um, that area is called 30,000 Islands at the north, I believe, right? I always mix up Kingston. I think Kingston, which is East Lake Ontario, I think that's 1,000 islands or 1,000 islands. But then up on Georgian Bay, that's called the 30,000 Islands, right? But yeah, just really cool geography up there, guys. And I'd like to take a trip up there. Part of that shore, the south shore of Georgian Bay, is like Muskoka, or sorry, like the central shore. The south shore is like Wasaga Beach, and that's like the longest sand beach, I think, is it the world? I looked this up the other day too. I was talking about this in one of my videos, but I think it's the largest in North America or largest in the world, whatever. But this is huge sand beach going up, right? And then north of that, you have all the islands and everything, and then after that, you're going atop across to like towards like Sault Ste. Marie, and then over top of Lake Superior, right? But yeah, I like to visit up there, guys. I just go up to about the central part, but not really on the shore. And I was just there 2 weeks ago. I just passed by the shore of Georgian Bay because I was going to go hang out with some people who rented a boat. and I ended up saving a guy from drowning. So these people rented a boat, and then someone was going on the boat. My friend was driving them up there, and I was like, okay, I'll just bring my boat and we'll go, you know. So because we got late, we had to drive the other person to find the other boat so we could all go hang out, right? So we went. We were just tied up together and we're just drifting, and then we went. That was in Bala, in Muskoka, and then we're gonna go to Port Carling, which is you have to wind through like Lake Muskoka. You have to kind of go south and east, out, and then you had to go up, and then you had to go across and over. And it was about a 20-minute ride, right, or maybe 25 minutes. And but the other boat was slow, so I was just pacing with them. So we went there to eat, and then we picked up a couple there, and then we were bringing them back to the other place, right, or to the original place where they rented the boat. So on the way back, they decided that some of the people wanted to swim. So one guy jumped out of the boat, and I had turned around now. So he jumped out of the boat. The other boat was still moving, just in idle, going slowly. And a couple of the girls jumped out of the boat, and they were swimming behind the boat. But this guy was far, and I was like, this guy's brave to be that far from the boat. He doesn't really care, right? But if he's a swimmer, then he's a swimmer. You know what I mean? So it didn't seem like a problem, but I kept my eye on him. So someone said, okay, yeah, go pick him up or go over towards him or whatever, right? So I did. So I started to turn, and as we got closer, I saw the guy kick up a bit, right? And he wasn't screaming or anything like that. And then we went to get him, and then my friend Kevin, you've seen Kevin in the videos splitting wood with me sometimes. He went to grab the guy's arm, and the guy had grip. So he gripped Kevin, but he couldn't really move himself, right? So because I'm sitting here and Kevin's here and he's helping the guy on this side, I couldn't see the guy actually in the water still. Kevin said that the guy's head was still underwater when he was holding on to his arm. So we had to both go. I said, okay, he's going to need the both of us, right? So I went to grab the guy's other arm, and I put out the ladder for him on the side of the boat so he could climb up, and he's just struggling to get up. And then, so my boat is 4 seats. So I'm here, Kevin's here, and then the 2 seats are here. So we pulled this guy over the edge, and he just fell down beside the gunnel in the 2 seats, and he just collapsed there, and he just stayed there for like a couple minutes at least, right? So he was finished. So if we didn't go to turn around and get him, he would have gone under too. And there's a bit of a current in that lake, and I don't mean like current like lakes have current. I mean like you could see visible current going through in that lake. Like there was one spot where we went, and I don't know, there's some kind of structure between like 2 islands, and then there was some more water on the other side, and then there was like some bigger islands. I don't know what that structure was, but as we went through, you could see the current pushing through, and I actually had to give it some gas, and you had to wait for people to go, right? So all these lakes, I've been to so many, not all these lakes, but I've been to so many of these lakes, and I've never seen visible current on the lake. You know, you might have the current underneath, but you could see water rushing through just between the islands and stuff, right? And it's all these lakes, they just drain into each other and whatnot, and there's like a canal system and everything, right? But yeah, so if the guy had a went under, then that would have been no good, man. No good at all. We would not have found that guy, not till he floated up back to the top. Okay, some people connecting here. Yeah, nice, man. Yeah, I like when people check out each other's channel, because there's always something that people could use, or something that people are interested in talking to other people, you know? I like when people connect like that, man. Anyways, back to that story. So other than, you know, the fact that I had to save somebody from drowning, it was a nice day out on the water, and Kevin called me and he asked me, and he said, oh, people renting a boat, but I couldn't picture what it was, whether it was like a boat cruise or something like that. But no, they just rented a pontoon boat, and they had like 10 people, and they went there. And I almost didn't bring the boat, but it's a good thing we did, because then we'd just be stuck on the shore, and we might have had to tell the people to come back and pick up the person who was there, and then have a couple of other people tag along, right? Which they wouldn't have minded anyway. But you know, it's a good thing we had the boat so that we could just get out there and meet them and do our thing. But it was a nice day out on the water, and then we went up to Port Carling, and they have like a bunch of businesses right on the water there. So we went to grab some food there. So I got the walleye sandwich, and it was pretty cheesy. It was small, of course. It was deep fried. I'm not surprised about that. Not that I'm complaining about deep fried, but also it was just, I think, tartar sauce and a piece of cheese. It's like there's nothing special here, you know. Like, and then it was $35, which is probably about, I don't know, $24 US, something like that. So yeah, it was a ripoff. It came with a salad, a Greek salad, but yeah, it was just nothing special. You know what I mean? But because it has the word Muskoka in it, it just means that they jack up the prices. For the boat launch prices there, you had to pay $50, and then my friend had to pay for parking. So, and then I heard that there's another place that it's $200 to launch your boat, probably like one of the marinas or something. But they just jack up the prices there, man. It's ridiculous, guys. And the cottages up in that area are more than the houses in Toronto, and Toronto is already known for its insanely high prices. Vancouver, Canada, has the highest prices of the whole country. So Vancouver and Toronto that's like the two main cities that are in Canada, right? Ottawa is not. There's not much to Ottawa. It's pretty dead. It's pretty quiet. It's a small city. A lot of government work, of course, but you know, there's not much to it. There's a lot of suburbs surrounding Ottawa, right? But Ottawa is not like, it doesn't have like a huge downtown and everything like that. You know, even Calgary is kind of similar to Ottawa. In a way, it's not quite the same, but it's just like, you know, one of those quieter like cities that it's one of the main cities or major cities, but it's just like really overall, it's like a small quiet city. You know what I mean? Why is my light flickering? I got an extra light helping me out here, and it's such a cheap light because the connector for the light that sits on the pole, it actually broke earlier on. I saw pieces coming off, and when I pulled it out today, it broke even more. So now the thing's just sitting dangling on top of the thing, and maybe I could get something to tighten it up. I could get a piece of pipe and clamp it up real nice, you know. But yeah, whatever. It's free. I got another one sitting um, in the shop. So if that one I can't use it anymore, I have another one, right? But I guess next time I'll just take the whole headset off, or the light off of the pole. So back to that trip up to Bala and Port Carling. Um, yeah, we did a lot of distance from Bala to Port Carling, and then there was a 2 hour drive one way just to get up there, and 2 hour drive back. So I did that all in a day. Apparently the people were staying somewhere overnight, and but I just came for the day, right? I wasn't in on the whole trip. I was just kind of tagging along. You know what I mean? Tim Stout, how you doing, man? Nice to see you here. You're always a big supporter. You're always here, man. You know. There's not many that I see anymore, in my YouTube's not recommending my videos that much. Roy says also used to fish Meaford, Thornbury, Southampton, and Goderich on Lake Huron. Fall salmon runs are fantastic. Yeah, so I have experience out that way. Um, I went to Thornbury one time, and that was in early 2000. That might have been like around 2000, the year 2000 itself, and maybe 2001. But I met this little Egyptian kid who was like, I think he was like 16 or 17 at the time. I met him at one of the fishing holes, and it might have been at Bowmanville Creek. But this kid, he just cleaned up the fish, man. Like anywhere he went, he just cleaned up. So in Thornbury, that's Georgian Bay. That's So I mentioned Wasaga Beach, which is the bottom of Georgian Bay. So if you keep going west along that shore, you're like basically Wasaga and Collingwood. It's like Wasaga is the beach going down one side, and then so when you're underneath Georgian Bay, then you're at Collingwood. And as you keep going westbound, then you pass, I believe you pass Meaford first, or no, it's Meaford after Thornbury. But anyway, Thornbury's there, and there's a river that flows into the lake. So then, not far up from the river mouth, there's like a dam there, and then the fish ladder and everything. And we went there in like September to go fishing. So all the salmon are coming in, and everybody's up there fishing. And then when you go down further down river towards the mouth, there's this one island, and beside the island there was this deep trough there. So I hadn't seen my friend for some of the day, and we spent like half of the day there, but we went to like two or three other places after that. But I didn't see him because I was just doing my thing wherever else. And so then I came up to him later as I was walking down the river, and I saw him and some other guy he was talking to. I have no idea if he knew the guy or not. Probably not, because I mean, he's 16, 17, and we're like 2 hours away from Toronto, right? But he might have seen him in another fishing hole. That's possible, but I don't think he knew the guy. But anyways, he was talking with the guy, and they had 11 rainbow trout or a steelhead on the bank. And basically, they were catching one more, and that's their limit, right? Because you can keep 6 trout. So they had 11 there, so another one, and both of them had their limit, right? And he just sat there. Nobody else was fishing there. All these guys are Mickey Mousing, and including myself for salmon, right? I was with my other friend Mike, and he was there too. And everybody's just going for salmon. And then he just sat there, and that's in September. Like the trout come in more like later, like they do come in September, October. But when the salmon shut down, then you have more trout coming in. The water's colder and stuff like that, right? I don't know exactly how much numbers come in throughout the months, or percentages, I should say. But the big run of trout usually is in the spring, but some do come in the fall. So if you get them in the fall, they're not in spawning mode, right? So they're not lethargic, and they're just ready to fight, right? So it's nice to be able to get them in the fall season. But yeah, so we were there, and he was just cleaning out those rainbows. And then later on in the day, I can't remember if we went to another place. Where did we go after that? I think maybe that's when we went to because we went on the Nottawasaga River. And the Nottawasaga River, we think now, where were we first? This is weird because, okay, I guess when we headed back, because when we were fishing the Pine River, I'm not sure exactly where the Pine River is, but basically we started Thornbury, and then we started to go east towards Wasaga Beach, and then the Nottawasaga River. So picture the shore is like this, but then the river, it actually follows the shore. So the river mouth is there, but then it kind of goes through town, and then it goes through like the beach strip. So there's like a roadway and where all the businesses are and stuff. So the river is parallel to the shore, but then when you go further down, then it zigzags back, and it zigzags again, and it zigzags again. And there's a spot there that most people don't know in Wasaga that's right off of the main strip. So basically there's a road that's going north and goes right into town, right? And passes like the whole beach, everything on the side, and they got all the stores and everything. But if you just go 2 minutes off of that road, then you'll be at one of these bends in the river. And it's a 180-degree bend, and when you get there, there's like the water treatment plant, and there's like a sand dune. It's like a dead end, right? You walk up the sand dune, you look down, and you see this river bend on a curve, on a 180-degree curve, and you're like, I don't know how high up. You're about maybe 70 feet high. And I actually have some video footage. I just wanted to put out a random like archive footage video this winter that I never did, and I went there with my drone, and I was just getting my drone down into the river when some guys were in a rowboat, and they actually caught a trout. So I wanted to get the drone to go right down to where they caught the trout, right? But I was just maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds, 60 seconds behind. But when I went there to go fishing, that time back in early 2000, it was crazy because it was raining at that time, and we got there in the afternoon, and we went up this hill, and I see this big sand dune, or this big sandbank of the river, and then we had to walk down the side of the sandbank, and then we had to go into the woods and then walk along the edge of the river to fish the river, right? And then it stopped raining and the sun came out, and then it had all the mist in the air, and the sunlight was hitting on the trees, and like the tree line was nice and orange and everything, and it just turned peaceful and sunny again. And then we were even walking someplace, we were walking right in the river, because some of the areas are private property, right? You can't walk on the people's property if you're fishing the river, right? So it's pretty crazy going up there, you know what I mean? What else have I fished up there? Oh, so you're talking about Lake Huron. So that would be west of all this area that I'm talking about. So Georgian Bay, like I said, is part of, it's the east part of Lake Huron. So now, so if you're along that shore and you're in Collingwood, or sorry, in Wasaga Beach. Wasaga Beach is on the side. So this is you guys looking at the map here, right? So you have the beach here, and then you have Collingwood, then you have Meaford and Thornbury, and then it goes up, and then it goes to Tobermory, and it's like this crazy place up there, which is like it's like the dividing line between Georgian Bay and Lake and the main lake, Lake Huron, right? But then, so if you go up Tobermory and you go around that point and you come down, so that point is like Goderich and going down to Sarnia. And what's the other? What's the U.S. town on the border of Sarnia? Isn't I can't remember what it is, guys. Someone check on the map. But going down that shore, because basically over at Sarnia, when you go south from there, you're going into the Detroit River, and then that's where you get to Detroit, Windsor, right? But I haven't fished on that side. I've been up to Sauble Beach because my friend has a cottage up there, and there is the Sauble River, and they have salmon there too, and they have an area where there's like a little bit of waterfalls, and the salmon come up there. So yeah, I haven't been there to do any fishing. There's a couple small lakes, and years ago when I had my 12-foot boat in, what would have that been? That would have been like maybe 2004, something like that. Is it back then or is it after that? Maybe 2006, 2007. I can't remember, but no, that would have been early 2000s. Yeah, because I had that boat at that time, right? And I remember I got my other boat, the one I had before this one here. I got that boat in 2004, and the model was a 2003. But I had this little 12-footer, and I put it in this lake there, and the lake was only about maybe this deep altogether. So there was like no fish in there, and it was just a waste of time to bring my boat all the way up there, you know. But what's cool about up that place too, up by on Lake Huron, you have Sauble Beach. If you go north from there, this area called Oliphant, and it's another shallow shoreline too, just like inside Georgian Bay. This is a shallow shoreline, so there's actually an area where there's a beach, and you're like, okay, well, this is a beach, and like, why is no one on the beach, right? This is weird, you know, because you have Sauble Beach close to there, Wasaga Beach is, you know, east of there, and you know, you have all this lakefront there, and you have this beach, and it's like, why is nobody like enjoying the beach here? That's because the water's so shallow. There could be somebody out there, you look, he's about a half mile out, and he's walking, and the water's up to his ankles, right? And he's walking his dog. So it's so shallow that you can't even like go into the water beyond like your ankles, and then eventually way out there your knees, you know what I mean? And then you see a couple islands like way out there, so it's pretty crazy. Then you could drive your car on the beach too, and you can't do that in a lot of places here, but you could do that out there. And yeah, it was just nuts, man. I have some pictures of that too. It's pretty crazy. But like I said, Tobermory, which is that point between Georgian Bay and Lake Huron, between Wasaga Beach and Goderich, I like to go up there because it's just like this point that shoots off into the lake. And what's crazy is the lake all in that area is it's where it's shallow along the shoreline, it's turquoise. And then it's like a deep blue after that turquoise, right? Um, it's unfortunate people have very low serine level, natural chemicals released in, yes, sarin. Yeah, that's right, sarin. Yeah, some people they have more sarin. Men and women, or men have less sarin in their fingers than women. So women actually have an advantage when they catch fish. So I think the best thing to do when you're fishing is to just try and not use the soap and water. I like to do that because I don't like to smell fishy, you know. But just use fish scents and stuff like that to help mask the human scent. You know what I mean? Even they say like you're burning the end of your line off with a lighter, like that's no good because they could smell the burnt smell of the plastic from the fishing line, right? So you have to be very careful about smelling naturally for the fish, because they'll get turned off. It's just like hunting, you know. If they smell the humans, then they'll be scared or whatever, right? Um, yeah. So what's gonna go on for the rest of this weekend? So I'm gonna do my steak dinner tonight. I'm gonna go like maybe half an hour more on the stream. Let me check my battery actually. I should have plenty. I got it plugged in charging too. No, I'm not going to look right now anyway. I can swipe down the screen just to see the pop-up, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I'll just go for a little bit more, and yeah, I got a huge steak. You know what? Let me show you guys my steak. Okay, you're not going to be able to see it really well, but basically just to show you the thickness, like all those things that they tell you they're selling you steak at the grocery store, and they're like not even half inch. No, this is a steak, man. This is an inside round roast. It's actually broken up a little bit. They have like the fat in between, so it's not just, you know, general marbling. It's actually, this is almost like a couple pieces of meat like all together. So sometimes it breaks apart a little bit, but I like that because when you grill it, then you get more charred edges on the inside too, right? And this is probably about 1.7 kilograms, so that would be maybe almost 3 pounds. But I'm not eating all this in one. I'm just gonna eat maybe half of it tonight, and I'm gonna have some leftover for steak and egg tortillas. And I got homemade chipotle mayo. I have green onion. I have habanero hot sauce. I have smoked cheddar. I have sour cream. And what else goes in there? Oh, I forgot the cilantro. I was supposed to bring the cilantro. Oh well, I just use a little bit to just throw in there. You know what I mean? But yeah, I should have brought it. Oh well, it's just a little bit of garnish. Anyways, let me go put this back. But this is, so what I season this with is, there's garlic, there's allspice, lots of allspice, there's some thyme, and there's some Worcestershire sauce, and tons of black peppercorns. I can smell the spices on my hands, you know. It smells so good, man. Uncle V, how you doing? Thanks for coming in, man. What a view, I know, eh? This is such a great view. It's up on the hill, and you can see really well up here. And the sun's in the background. Actually, can you guys see it? It should be in camera view. Let's see. Yeah, it should be in view. It's just so bright on my screen. I could see that power line or whatever, and I can see that the sun is under that power line in my view. Who's this coming in? A couple different guys coming in. There's always a bunch of people on ATVs here. The guy's got his daughter with him. Yeah, man. Speaking of cilantro, Uncle V, I do some gourmet burgers, and I do a garlic lime cilantro mayo as like a sauce to throw on it. I put some mustard powder, some cumin, and salt and pepper, and some olive oil in there, and a little bit of habanero hot sauce. And then I saute up some veggies, like fajita style, so there's green peppers, red peppers, and onions. Red onion I use actually. So I saute those up. I throw some garlic, salt and pepper, and a little bit of cumin. And then when I cook the burger, I'll use the sugar maple to get some smoke infused into the burgers. And then I have the nacho cheese, which is like the Monterey Jack, is it mozzarella also and cheddar, and I'll throw that on. Then I'll throw jalapenos on that, and then I'll throw the peppers on, and I'll squirt a little bit of mustard and steak sauce on it, and then the garlic lime cilantro mayo, and it's an amazing burger. It's like a gourmet burger. It's like a Tex-Mex kind of cuisine kind of thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, that garlic lime cilantro mayo is amazing, man. There was one time when I rented my friend's cottage, I brought some with me, and I told my friend like, okay, you can have some of this, right? You can try it, but don't like kill it because I made like what I have for the trip. Because at that time I was renting that place for a week, and had done the burgers there, and I was gonna do another set of the same recipe when I came here. Because what I did was I used to rent that place separate, go home, and come back here in another couple of weeks, whatever. But what I started doing is booking both trips back to back. And what's pretty cool is that that lake is directly west of here. So what I would do is leave that lake. I'd go eastbound, then I'd have to go south. Then I'd trek through the bush for about an hour, and there's nobody there except for ATVs, and then you might see at the halfway point where the trucks park, where they jump off their or where they have their trailers and everything, and for the ATVs, they'd start riding from there, right? You wouldn't see any passenger cars or anything like that. It's just right through the woods for like an hour. So yeah, basically, uh, I would do that trip for the 10 days, and I bring all the stuff with me, and I don't like going to the grocery store when I get up here. I try and make everything like at home, like all the stuff I got to prepare first at home so I could bring it here. So when the guy finished my sauce, I was pretty pissed off about that. But luckily, my sister came and she brought a couple supplies so I could make myself some more garlic lime cilantro mayo. And yeah, it's too bad that I can't rent that other place in Apsley, Ontario, Chandos Lake. I miss that place. It's a nice A-frame cottage, and yeah, it was um, it was a peaceful place, you know. Shibe, how you doing? Nice to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in. What time is it now? It's getting close to the Back 40 live stream. Yeah, and that's gonna be fun too. I'm gonna try and catch that. I'm gonna try and at least get my dinner going before that stream starts, and maybe halfway through Back 40, maybe I'll just have it tuning in the background while I cook, and then while I eat, I'll be back there. You know. So yeah, Shibe, how you doing, man? Long time. Well, I mean, I've seen you on the streams here or there, but I just been kind of in and out too. I just been trying to do my due diligence, and tune in. And sometimes I just been sitting with it in the background, and maybe chiming in for a little bit. But yeah, man, I miss the Woodhounds. I haven't seen you guys much, so I haven't talked to much people. But I've been busy, and that's what you know, where life takes you. That's what you got to do, right? And work's been good, and it's been a relief because it was a hard winter, guys. Um, Everything but the mustard for me. Okay, yeah, some people don't do the mustard. That's like one of my friends. Loved fishing all the spots by Elliott Lake when I was younger. Stopped just off the highway. So Uncle V, I'll tell you my Elliott Lake story. So we went up there, my friend Mike and I, and um, we were going with the float tubes because that time that was 2005, and I didn't have insurance for a while there, so I just took my truck off the road, right? And my friend drove. He had one of those like I think it was like a what year caravan? It was an '80s one, the one with like just a brown one with the wooden paneling on the side, right? And we went up there with our float tubes, which is like an inner tube with a canvas harness around it, and you sit in there's like a seat, and it has a backrest too, so you sit in it. So you can either go with chest waders or not. And you have to, if you're wearing waders, you have to wear a belt here because if you go in the water, if you're not wearing a life jacket, the water will just fill up your waders and you'll just sink, right? So you have the waders on or you don't have the waders on. If it's summer, it's too hot for the waders. The water can never be cool enough in the summer. Like, no way. I've been in them and I've sweated, right? Because you're also kicking around too. And then you have the flippers on too. So we went up to Elliott Lake to go fishing with the float tubes. Okay, so guys who don't know about this area, there's an Elliott Lake, but it's Elliott Lake is a town, and there's lots of lakes in the region, and you can stop off at some of those lakes as you're going through there. That's like the Trans Canada Highway, which is basically when you leave the busy areas in Ontario, south central Ontario, and you're going over the Great Lakes. There's nothing out there, guys. It's just a highway, like going through. There's not all these cities everywhere and everything. There's like towns along the route, and that's it, right? Let me see if my charge cable is okay here. Doesn't look okay. Okay, so anyways, we went to fish, or we went to the campground that's 45 minutes north of Elliott Lake. So we deviated from like the main route, and we went 45 minutes north, and then we fished. Actually, we went back down to Elliott Lake area, and we fished the lakes in there. We didn't get anything, but then we left to go to a lake that my friend knew, and it's 45 minutes north of the campground, and we were smashing the pike on topwater lures there, and then we had to get out of the tubes and walk up this little creek that spilled into the next lake. And the lake that we're fishing in, we went to the lake that was feeding it, and then we got a couple more pike going down the shore. He went on one side, I went on the other side, and then we got in the back, and I got a pickerel or a walleye, and then yeah, our day ended there. But I think we went to another lake to fish, and then my friend locked the keys in the car, and this was like Sunday at like 6:30, right? We're in the middle of nowhere, you know? So that was my experience there. That's about 7 hours drive from here. 7.5 hours drive it was, and that's like far from me. Because if I'm coming up north here, the most I'll go, like this is the furthest place I go, and this is like 2.5 hours northeast of Toronto. Let me see. So yeah, so Ottawa, I believe, is about 2 hours away from here. So I'm just north of Highway 7. So if I drop down 10 minutes, I get to Highway 7. And Highway 7 runs right to Ottawa, and that's that direction. So basically Toronto's that direction, right? We should have a nice sunset here right now. Yeah, look at the sun, it's a bit covered. We got another boat coming in, a Lund. There's a guy with a really nice Lund here. Like this guy spent like big money for his Lund boat. Like he's got all the plastic floor and everything, like just the full cover, the one where you could stand up in the boat and everything. I think I might have actually seen that boat on the other side of the lake today. But yeah, so if I take Highway 7, I can get back to Toronto, or just north of Toronto, like basically almost the Toronto border. I can take Highway 7 all the way, but that's a long route. So I dropped down to the 401, which is basically like the main highway that runs along Lake Ontario shore. Yeah, guys. Yeah, yeah. So if you guys know where Sault Ste. Marie is, up there at the east side, the southeast side of Lake Superior, and you're going towards, or you're going across the top of the eastern part of the Great Lakes there, or basically Georgian Bay, Lake Huron, then yeah, it's kind of in that region. And then so east of, I guess Sudbury is kind of where the lake curls around and it starts heading south, and then from there you can head south all the way to Toronto. What's the town name here? The town name here is yeah, is that what you mean, the town name here? Well, the closest town here is Cloyne, Cloyne. And Massinaw Lake, the other big lake that's got the big rock wall, that's just across the highway. And there's Bon Echo Provincial Park. And what's cool is where that rock wall is, the lake, it tapers down, and then this shoreline, say here's the rock wall, and this shore comes down and it curls, and there's a small channel right beside where the cliff ends. This side of the lake comes and it curls, and there's just a small channel where a boat can go through on this side. So it's really crazy how you have this rock wall, but then the lake, it just kind of not shallows up, but it narrows up right there, and it just spills into the other lake, right? you think with that rock wall, you know, you just have the depth goes all the way down right there, and it kind of continues for a while. But no, this whole area is just funny how it closes up quickly like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, cloying. So the closest, there's not really many towns that you might have heard of. Like, I mean, even if you're familiar with Ontario, there's these towns are not. They're so tiny too. They're not really towns, right? It's just the kind of town where you have that has a main strip, like you're just kind of going through on the highway, and that's all that's there, right? You know, it's not like when you get there they have a few streets, and those streets make up like the different different uh, intersections in the town. This is one where it's like literally the town is the main strip, right? So the closest main town, the closest bigger town here is Tweed, but that's south of Highway 7. So Tweed from here is about maybe about 25 minutes, right? I see some mosquitoes are coming out. I'm gonna cut it short in about maybe 15 minutes anyway. So, yeah, so like I said, I'm off of Highway 41, and 41 goes down to Belleville. So I'm like basically an hour north of Belleville. And for those that don't know, Belleville's kind of eastern Lake Ontario, but that's kind of like now I look at like Belleville and everything there because there's a area of Lake Ontario where the north part of it it's like a big bay instead of like it's just a shoreline going down like when you start from my end of Lake Ontario, the west end, it's just a straight shore like all the way across, and then you get to the other side and they have a series of bays, and that's called like Bay of Quinte, and it's just like a massive bay on Lake Ontario. And Belleville is kind of just in towards that bay a little bit. You have like Deseronto, and that's kind of like where the bay starts, and then all that area, it's just the lakes in and out and everything. It's not a straight shoreline. There's inlets everywhere and everything like that. And then so that's basically southeastern Lake Ontario or southeastern Ontario, and that's before you get into Quebec, which is which is Ontario's border, and then you have Montreal, which is how far in is Montreal? I guess Montreal's kind of close to the border of Ontario and Quebec. Um, okay, Belleville on your way to Kingston. Yeah, so basically where I'm at, I'm like in the east end of the city. Say 1/3 of if you put made Toronto into three parts, I'm in between two parts, right? So I'm the east end, but I'm not the far east end. I'm like the west part of the east end kind of thing. So for me to get to Belleville, it's like an hour and a half, and then Kingston's like 2 hours. Roy says, just bought cilantro for my Trinidad curry chicken this weekend. Chief brand curry, yeah, of course, that's what I have too, man. And so I'm Trinidadian too, guys, and you know, curry is like a big thing down there, but I like the Guyanese style curry. I think they put different spices in it, but I gotta try it with the cilantro, man. I haven't made too much curry in my life, but yeah, I gotta start making more. But I do a mean Thai style chicken coconut curry, and yeah, I chop up some cilantro and I put it in there. I cut some sweet peppers, like red peppers, nice and thin. I throw that in there, and what else do I put in there? I can't remember. That's pretty much it. I do put some peas in there, but that's just to stretch it out. You know what I mean? But yeah, I put some like a whole can of coconut cream in there after I got the curry chicken like simmering in the pot. Um, okay. Huntsville about as far as Uncle V has been around those parts. Yeah, Huntsville, that's the farthest I've been. I did go up. I went up to. Okay, I was in Bala, but Bala, I passed Gibson Lake too. When I went to Gibson Lake like 15 years or maybe almost 20 years ago, I went up to Gibson Lake, and I remember passing there 2 weeks ago when I went to Bala. But yeah, the only time I've been further on 400 is when I went to Elliott Lake. But I was trying to rent a cabin, a log cabin in Mactier, and Mactier is kind of in the Perry Sound area. And another spot I did was when I did my nature walk tree ID, and I went to Huckleberry Rock Point, and that's overlooking Lake Muskoka. And you're on this. It's weird because you walk in there and you don't think it's that elevated. It's kind of walking up on the trail, kind of walking on an angle as you go. It's 90 degrees eventually by the time you walk the whole trail, but you get up and you're on this open granite. It's got this reddish color, and then there's like sparse patches of trees, but the trees are more on the lower level, but the top is more bare. And you get up there, and then you could see from each end of your viewpoint, 180 degrees, you could see Lake Muskoka is almost like the whole thing. You could see all the inlets and the bays and everything, but you just have this vast view of the whole area. So I've been up there, and then Huntsville is basically the most north I've been, kind of thing, with the exception of going up to Elliott Lake. So yeah, for whatever I've done, within range, that's Huntsville. And Huntsville is also where I did some of my tree ID videos. And what I do with the tree ID videos is I go to a new site to identify the trees, but I revisit the initial places that I did the first tree ID video. So I go to Huntsville and I go to the Lions Lookout, and that's pretty cool, that lookout, because Huntsville is a town that's between two lakes, and there's a channel connecting the lakes, right? And then the lookout is above the channel connecting to the two lakes, and then beside it is one of the lakes. You can't see the other lake, which is on the other side, but you can just see the town of Huntsville below, and you could see that waterway below you, and you see the boats going by and the cottages on the shoreline, and then you see the other lake, and there's a couple inlets, and then there's the rock island and stuff like that, right? And then the other place I did my first tree ID video was at the Bracebridge, North Bracebridge. They have High Falls, which is the waterfalls there. I took my daughter there the other day, and she absolutely loved it. And I showed her a video, and she didn't want to go. Excuse me. And then, okay, we got in the truck and we went there, and then when she first saw the patch of the water, they have where the water's just doing a little spill, like about 2 feet deep. So they have where the water just drops like 2 feet, and then it goes under like a bridge, and then it goes over the natural waterfalls. And as we pulled up, she's still in the truck, and she saw a nice little patch of water, just that area where there was a 2-foot drop, and she's like, "Daddy, what's that? Let's go see it." And I said, "Okay, let's go." And then she just loved it, and then we went around the waterfalls at the top, we walked down the side, and we went to the bottom of it. She went in the water and everything. She just absolutely loved it, man. So next time we'll go back there prepared. She'll have her bathing suit, and she'll have her water shoes and stuff like that, and she'll be ready to go. Dinner's ready. You gotta go, Tim? Okay, take care, man. Yeah. Wife says, enjoy your roast. Yeah. I know, that's basically what it is. And you know what? If I do like a roast, or I do like a roast beef in the slow cooker, that's the kind of meat you want to get, guys. Yeah, the mosquito's gonna be coming out. But yeah, I'm gonna shut this down in a few minutes. I guess 4 minutes. Tally Ho Inn. I don't know the inn. I used to stay at a friend's house up there in Huntsville. I used to go up there a lot, man. And yeah, I like the drive going up there. When you go through, you go through those bends, like at Gravenhurst for one thing. You have that nice turn, so you can take the road going straight into town, or you could just turn, and then you keep going up Highway 11, and then even before you get to Gravenhurst, has those windy stretches of the Highway 11, and then you have that one area where they have the rocks on either side. It's like a water channel going under the highway. That area is pretty cool. That's like, where's that again? I always forget where that is. Is that part of Washago? I think so. Kimchi burgers, you're doing small woodlot. Nice. Yeah, kimchi's pretty good, man. You get it done right, it's good. Yeah, and you know what? Oh, okay, it's part of Algonquin Park, and I've been there as a kid, and I want to go there and do my next tree ID video, because there's a lookout there where it's all natural. There's nothing built up like in Huntsville or anything like that. It's just you walk out there, and all it is there's not even like there might be a sign hammered into the ground, but nothing else other than that, right? Um, yeah, it's just a beautiful place, and this nice rock ledge where you can go and walk out on the edge, and you just see all the forest below, you know. So really interested in going there to do my next tree ID video, and I got some good ideas. My friend Kevin has the drone, and I'm gonna get him to come with me and get some drone footage, get some nice slow footage going over the trees when they got the colors changed, and that'll be in probably the first week of October. Got him, mosquito. That'll be the first week of October, around there, when the sugar maples are in their peak, and I can get some nice footage. Yeah, so that basically is, yeah, so that lookout, it's, I believe it's, pretty sure it's off of Highway 60, which is going towards Algonquin Park. What was cool was one time I left from here to go to Huntsville, and I like the idea of, like, okay, usually when, you know, you drive places, there's a certain route you take, but what I like is the fact that I went somewhere else. I'm going to another destination, but I have to take a different route, see something different, you know what I mean? So I wonder if these guys are camping, but the guy who was here earlier, he went to camp on the island, and it's actually his sister who used to own that cottage beside here. That was the big business that I was telling you about. But yeah, that lookout I actually had been to when I was a kid, and I've been trying to find it. There's lots of lookouts here that are similar, but I remember there's one patch of water, so I believe I found the right place. So I'm gonna actually do the nature walk tree ID at that spot. But like I said, I'm gonna go to Huntsville at the lookout, and I'm gonna go to Bracebridge with the waterfalls as well, and go check out those two places in the meantime, right? So it'll be basically, it's 2 hours to Huntsville from me, and then the other place in Algonquin Park might be about 20 minutes. And the other place that I did the tree ID video, which was last year's, was Dorset Fire Tower, and it's a lookout tower. It's all made out of angle iron and wire mesh grates, and basically it's 100-foot tower. Now here you have where it's up and down, you know, there's some elevation. Right now I'm in a highlands. There's a highlands east of here, and it's not that high elevation overall, but this place where it is, it's the hills. Some of the hills were a lot steeper, and basically, he went in my gin and tonic, but he flew out. Basically, the one area where the tower is, it's a very steep region there, and they have this tower up there, and when you go up this tower, you're so high up, there's a whole lake below you, and you can see where the road comes around the lake and it winds through. I think there's another lake on the other side of the road or whatever, but you could see the road winding through down there, and then it's so high up there that you could see like an area of 500 square miles or 800 square kilometers, right? And it was kind of scary walking up that tower to go see the trees and everything. But I was there actually maybe like a week, maybe 2 weeks early, and the colors didn't really change yet at that time, right? So, like I said, it's nice to go at the right time of year so that you get the nice reds, red colors, the sugar maples, you know. Um, yeah, so there was some color change, but it wasn't that significant. It wasn't that non-green, I should say. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of green left, so I didn't get there at the right time. But it's hard to pick the right timing. You know what I mean? I can't even judge by being in the city, because the city, the colors change later than there. And one year when was it no, it was not last year, but the year before, we had a really funny year because we had that late so basically summer went right up till November, so the colors up there, they will change at the cusp of September and October. And though we're down by me, and the Niagara is kind of like it's not directly, well, it's kind of south of me, right? But it is mostly south of me. I think on the true north, which is on an angle instead of magnetic north, Niagara Falls is directly south in that perspective anyway, right? But and it might be like, I think Niagara is maybe maybe 60 miles south of me, kind of thing, right? But basically, where Toronto is, the leaves they don't change color till about the second week in September or something like that, like the sugar maples when they start and everything, right? So it's hard to judge. And how I actually look at the fall colors is there's the Ontario Provincial Parks analysis of the fall colors, so you can go and look. And they'll show you a little leaf diagram, and the leaf, based on the colors that it shows you, it'll tell you, okay, these if it's green, then it means the leaves are really green there, and then if they have like yellow, then orange, then brown, then red. So red is basically like the highest um, content of color, or highest percentage of color in the forest. You know what I mean? So I can use that to try and judge the areas that are north of me to figure out what's the right time to go. Yeah, Uncle B says so many beautiful places. I love it here. It's not exotic to people, but it's awesome, man. It's I think it was just built in me to enjoy this lifestyle. I did it when I was young and I got right into it. I never complained about it. I had some hard times in it and I never shunned it as well, as much as I had those hard times. Like, guys, I went camping in winter one time, man. It was bad seed. And I went camping and we did well we took all our gear. We did 27-kilometer walk on the Bruce Trail, and the Bruce Trail is from Tobermory down to Niagara, and that's like hundreds of kilometers, like 200-300 miles, that whole trail. Yeah, probably about that. Maybe 300 miles maximum, this whole like walking trail, right? Maybe a little less than 300 miles. But yeah, it's this huge walking trail that if you look at Niagara and it loops around Lake Ontario and it just kind of goes north up to Tobermory, stays on a path mostly north. It's just this huge trail that you can walk through, and you're walking through different kind of terrain as you go, right? Because you have the Niagara Escarpment down here, and well, even up there, some of it's still the Niagara Escarpment up there. So I think it kind of follows the Niagara Escarpment overall, because what the Niagara Escarpment is part of the old lake, and then like the St. Lawrence Lake they called it. That was this huge lake that was there before the Great Lakes, when the water kind of disappeared. Or not disappeared, but the water, it just left the area, whatever, and then you have the Great Lakes left over, right? So Lake St. Lawrence was like a massive lake that was bigger than the Great Lakes. Um, but what was I saying about the Great Lakes? And oh yeah, the Bruce Trail. So yeah, I hiked the Bruce Trail when I was young, and I just remember that was in September, so the colors didn't quite change. I don't remember exactly how things went, but I remember it wasn't into fall, it wasn't cold or anything like that, and it was just these nice. It was like late summer mornings, and that's why I know, because it's like when the summer goes, and it's September, the mornings are still nice and warm and everything, but you could just tell it's different from like July and August, right? And it was just nice these mornings, getting up and walking out, and even some of the trail was on the side, on the roadside too. So you'd have to literally have to walk on like the roadside as some of the trails, right? But yeah, that was a nice trip, man. That was really enjoyable. Okay, I'm gonna have to finish up the stream here. So yeah, man. How many people did I get in here tonight total? Yeah, see this. I don't get fed to too many people anymore, man. I'm upset about that, because I've been hoping that my channel is has been progressive over time, and it just grows and grows, but it hasn't grown, man. And I haven't been getting much calls for wood as well. And it's funny, the guy who hasn't called me in like 2 months to pick up some wood, he called me today, and I don't even have reception up here. So I just had to text with him. And then another guy called me for wood to go pick up, and it's the same type of wood. Both of those calls are honey locust, and yeah, I'm just not around, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't be surprised if I get a couple text messages of people wanting smoker wood. The guy who messaged me on Friday for smoker wood, I told him I'm leaving soon to go out of town, so let me know, so that even if I can't sell you wood while I'm here, then you can excuse me, you can come by the shop and I'll just put it outside for you so you can get it, right? But the guy, he never, or you know when he called me like I think 10 or 15 minutes after I left the shop, right? So that was the end of that. Of course, people, they want wood on the long weekends when I go away. I'm not usually here on this long weekend. I wasn't here July 1st and for Canada Day, and but I'll be back in Labor Day, so I'll do a live stream then on Labor Day, and maybe I should even do live with the fireworks because there's a big fireworks show. I'll try and get out there early because usually like I'm finishing up dinner, I'm heading out there like I'll be eating like dinner or just finishing making dinner now and going out there another half an hour when it's darker, and I just get there when it's like just starting, right? So maybe I'll get out there early. I'll sit in the boat so you can see all the boats gathering up and everything, and then we'll see the big fireworks show out on the lake. But actually, no, you know what? I can't do that. I'm thinking way too much here because I don't have reception out there. I'm using the cottage or the cabin owner's Wi-Fi. He's next door in his cottage, right? So I can't do it out here. I keep looking at the website to see when they're building a cell phone tower out here, but they're just not doing it out here. My providers tell us, and they have one an hour south of here, and then they have another one northeast of here. It might be, I don't think it's maybe northeast, but it's east northeast from here. They have another tower, but basically both towers I'm like an hour away, so my signal is on and off overall. I can't use my phone. Every now I'm sitting in the cabin or I'm out on the lake, and then I get some reception. I get my messages popping up, and so even if I get them, it's because my phone's sitting there. If I move the phone, then I disconnect the signal. I can't even or send out response messages, right? So yeah. Anyways, hopefully they get a cell phone tower in here, and I could do my thing. But like I said, they only have towers around the big city, whatever. And even Bancroft's not a big city, but yeah, they have one there. And I hate that it's like that here. I've never had good reception here. But anyways, guys, it's time to eat. Time to cook up that steak. I'm going to do some garlic balsamic, Brussels sprouts, and I have the Japanese yams here too. I'm going to do those. I guess tomorrow when I do burgers. Hey James, how you doing, man? Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, I'll do those Tex-Mex burger tomorrow, and I got some sweet potatoes, so I'll fix those up with cumin, garlic, cinnamon, and what else? Some smoked paprika, and then I'll grill them right on the barbecue. So yeah, James, let me show you my steak quickly. James, I'm working on the wood too. I haven't been picking up much, but I've still been adding to that pile. We don't have enough to do a video yet, but yeah, don't worry, we'll get it done, man. Look at that. It's as big as my hand. Maybe a little bigger. And look at the thickness on that. Allspice, garlic, Worcestershire, thyme, and tons of black peppercorns. I didn't salt it yet because I'm going to salt them when I put it on the grill. Anyways, guys, let me end the stream. I want to sit and chat. I like doing the streams, but hey, nobody's really signing up because YouTube's not recommending my videos anymore, unfortunately. But anyways, so thanks Roy for stopping in. Uncle V, got my Canadian people here. Thank you Heidi for stopping in. Small Woodlot. I think you said you were gonna go earlier, but you're here still or whatever. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys coming in here, man. Really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you soon, man. I'm gonna put out a video. I don't have much footage so far. I should have taken a little bit more coming into getting up here because there was an emergency cruise on the road and there was that rainstorm. I got a bit of that, and I didn't get any of the lightning that was coming in. But yeah, it was a bit of a journey coming up here. You know what I mean? I had to make a couple stops, buy some two-stroke oil for the boat, which costs $100 for a jug, and that's absolutely ridiculous, man. Liquid gold they call it anyway. So yeah, man, I'll be back here in a month, and basically, yeah, it's about a month's time. Maybe that's 4 weeks from now. I have to check the calendar. But August has 31 days, so it might be 5 weeks. But anyways, hopefully I come back camping in 2 weeks, guys. So we'll see you next time. Anybody new? Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, comment, and all that good stuff. Peace, everyone.